Aloha and welcome to Galactic Shamans live tarot and energy readings. My name is Deepa with Let's Evolve Together Tarot, and this is Jason Donaldson with Jason Donaldson Healer. So we are your hosts today, and this is a show where you are able to purchase a reading from both of us for $28 following one of the links in the chat box, Venmo or Cash App at this time. And you're able to get a reading from both of us. You get the perspective that we're both picking up on for your special questions today. And we're also going to do a collective reading based on the current energy that is swirling around us at this time. I think we'll definitely probably be touching base with the 777 energy that's present. That will be tomorrow, that portal. And also, what else was I going to say? Our topic for today, we always have a theme, and the topic for today is flow with the universe. And I just want to give like a little brief bio for Jason and I so that you know a little more about us if you have not met us before. So Jason Donaldson is a psychotherapist, Second energy practitioner, spirit guide, and mentor, offering 3, 6, and 9-month programs for spirit guidance mentorship. He does a combination of energy work, breath work, counseling, and coaching. So if you're interested in working more with Jason, you can find him at jasondonaldsonhealer.com. And it's the same on Instagram. So you can find him on Instagram under that handle. And again, my name is Deepa, and you can find me at let'sevolvetogethertarot.com or Let's Evolve Together Tarot on Instagram. And basically, my focus is to do readings where you're through tarot reading, through Akashic record reading, through energy clearing and balancing. Basically, the whole idea is to help you integrate more with your own energy and healing within yourself so that you can continue successfully on your path of spiritual evolution. So we're super happy to be with you here today. And Jason, did you want to say anything that I missed?
Not really. That was great. Thank you for that awesome intro. And thank you for being here. And thank you everyone else that's tuned in right now or tuning in later. I see Jacqueline's on. Thank you. And yeah, the 777, an interesting start into the energies of the Lion's Gate on 8/8. Yeah, apparently it's a Syrian portal, which I don't know, I should know more about, but I'm not really sure what that's all about, honestly. And maybe someone else can chime in if they have more info on it. But we'll tune in as well. And I kind of like that. There's a lot of stuff I could read about. And then other times I just like to tune in and see what comes through, and then I read about it. And then that's kind of my scientific method with how I got to believe all the things I believe, even knowing that those beliefs aren't going to really probably be true either. But I always have the guide. If it separates me from people, it's not a belief worth holding. If it brings me together with myself and others, then it's going to be a little better belief system.
I love that. That's
perfect.
Yeah, I was feeling the 7/7 portal energy already this morning, as it's only 11 a.m. here in Hawaii. And it was so strong. And I don't, what I always, basically, I've been studying the galactics quite a bit because I just went through the Galactic Akashic Record training. But besides that, I've been doing it on my own, and I'm always just staying in touch with, connecting with my guides, my galactic spirit guides, and they just are, I almost feel like it's like they're always with us, but I just feel like they're here. And it was so strong this morning that I felt like, and this won't be for all of us, but for some of us who have already chosen to have this experience in this lifetime, tomorrow could be a day of contact for a lot of people, like an actual contact experience. And that could mean a huge variety of things. Like, for instance, for most of us, it's going to be a recognition of a piece of ourselves inside that's ready to be integrated, healed, or brought into more love within us. That is a contact experience because we are all part of the same whole. So coming into touch with that piece of yourself that wants to be integrated, you come into more of your wholeness. Another version of a contact experience is like actually seeing something in the sky, which is probably the most common way, or having an experience in meditation, or a dream where you're visiting with your ET guides. It could be anything and everything, but definitely like the main theme that was coming through this morning was this is a contact day. So whether they're going to come through a tarot reading or through your dreams or through like a visitation, like just be open, just like be open to in the way that you chose for yourself that you would experience it at this time. So it's just, it was super cool.
Yeah, I experienced a little last night before our breath work and sound healing ceremony where immediately I was getting like visions of like hieroglyphs and Egyptian type energy, and also the dragons were really powerfully present. And there was a lot of like light and shadow going on. And often that's like people's minds that they haven't really dropped into their hearts yet. They're just kind of settling into the space. We do some Qigong and do some guided meditation, listen to a mantra. And so the mind starts to slow down, and then the energy gets more integrated, congruent. But it was interesting because it was just like this witnessing of it. Whereas before I would label and judge it as, oh, this is negative, this is bad, and oh, I need to do something about this energy. Where's it at in the room? And it was more like, oh, it's okay. This is interesting what's happening. It's more of that like witness consciousness coming online, I think, for a lot of us, where we get a visitation, whether it's an emotion or like a guide showing up internally, externally, whatever it is. And then it's the ability to kind of like step away. And this is something another gentleman I know says is like, who is this that's visiting now? Like who's showing up? And it kind of removes us from the intensity of whatever it is. And it helps us be the witness in order to navigate what it brings up for us, so that if we do have direct contact, we're not like, oh my God, it's a monster, or just the fear of the unknown is so powerful. Like anything that seems different, the intellect and the ego wants to like put it in a box, in a category, and kind of like just shuffle it away over here. And we see this with so much on this planet with gender and racism and everything else, and weight and ageism is like just this tendency to want to categorize, and then this is what this is, and now I can move on with my life. And it's like, no, there's a depth of a being there, and a soul and a spirit and an expression that's coming out, and it's so rich and beautiful that the mind can't calculate all that, so it goes into this categories. And then now and more we're seeing that the categories aren't working.
I love that. Yeah, totally. I think
down.
that's really important too, you know, like being aware of how we judge extraterrestrial species and different kinds of species. This one's good, that one's bad. And how in a moment of actual contact, our own ego is what keeps us from the true contact experience and the true essence of that star being. And so what we have to watch out for is how the ego reacts in place of fear. How does the ego react when fear arises? Like a very strong energy of fear, you know? So actually Tim Tactics talks about that a lot, because he's had over 100 actual visits with gray extraterrestrials because of his work with the German government. And he talks about in one Gaia episode of Cosmic Disclosure about how one of the first experiences he's had where they sit down or they come into the room toward him, like these gray aliens. And he was like, every fiber of my being wanted to run. But in his conscious mind, he was like, you know, talking himself through it. Like, I can't run. Like, this is his actual job. And, you know, the purpose of his work was there. So it was like, he couldn't just run out of the room, but he had to watch, he had to observe all that in himself, his ego and his fear and all the stories attached to these beings. So it's really remarkable to hear about those visitations.
Yeah, because the ego wants to protect us. That's its job, but it doesn't have all the information, and it's not present, and we're often not breathing. So even if we were going to use our brain isn't really our mind, but use our brain and try to figure and rationalize whatever's happening, it's not really working because it's not getting much oxygen, you know. And from fMRI studies, you know that they track activation of the parts of the brain through blood flow. And if you're not breathing, you're not getting adequate blood flow. You're not getting oxygenation of those areas of the brain. So if you break it down to like to the neurology of it, the biological aspect, which people like to go to the biological aspect, but it all starts as spirit. But even with that, if you're not breathing, you're not given this biology what it needs to like deal with what's happening in the moment. And that's where, you know, the consciousness comes in. And then we focus on the breath and we become more conscious, and we're able to like perceive what's really happening versus what we think's happening based on some past experience that is bringing the emotion up. Like I had that this morning with like a child that was upset, and it was like, oh, this is like, I always think of it like this is like my inner child that's upset right now. Can I hold space and just be loving and present for them? Because they're obviously upset with something that has nothing to do with me. Like I was watching my niece, and dad had to go to an appointment, and so she was like, I don't want you to be here, I want my dad to be here. And I'm just like, I know, honey, but I'm here right now, he's going to come back. And so eventually she calmed down. We found a little gecko for her. There's a little gecko running across the ground. She started playing with that, and then we started making a little like place for the gecko and giving it food and stuff. And she totally forgot about it, and then she was fine. But it was like her mind was caught in this like thing from the past where dad's not here. Oh no, what's going to happen? Because she was separated from him for a while, and it was hard for her. And it's just interesting. This comes up, and same with like anything unknown. It's like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen. And then being with the feeling it brings up is, I think, why we don't have contact a lot of times. Because if, and in the movies, the programming, and there's so much in there with that. In fact, I'm kind of going on, but there was this movie, I think it was Kevin Costner was in it. It was called either Firefly, or I think it was called Firefly or something. But it was like this movie that they would play this eerie music anytime there was something supernatural or extra dimensional. And you kind of get those chills, and you get a little freaked out. And then there was this total twist at the end, and you're like, oh my God, there was nothing to be afraid of that whole time. So it was really cool. Hey, Brian, aloha.
Nice 1111 entry.
Yeah.
The numbers have been so amazing today, and oh my God, just this whole week. But yesterday and today have just been wow. Magic is in the air, so keep the door open.
Yeah, that's the flow we were talking about.
Yeah, do you want to talk about that?
Flow with the universe.
Oh, sweet. Actually, we're good, because I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, everything's good. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I could see us live, but I can.
Okay.
So yeah, do you want to talk about our theme, flow with the universe, and like maybe on a day-to-day level, what that could mean? I think we've already started, but I said magic is in the air, but I like that music is in the air. Pump up the volume.
Music is magic. It's definitely medicine. It's been a good medicine for me lately.
Yeah.
Yeah, being in flow is, they talk about the flow state too in psychology. There's a lot of research on the flow state with athletes and altered states of consciousness. And I think his name was Csikszentmihalyi or something. This guy from Czechoslovakia or somewhere did a lot of research on flow state. And I always think of it as like what the Hopi describe as, you're floating down the river of life. And you can surrender and let the river take you and float down the middle, or you can like be clenching to the rocks and the logs and all the things we want to try to identify with and that we think we want and need in order to feel like fulfilled in life, when meanwhile the current's pulling us away from that so we can get what we truly desire, what we truly want, which is already ours. It's already there. And we separated from it to go through this experience of not having it seemingly, and then the joy and exaltation of oh, here it is, I got it, and then it's gone again, and then here it is, I got it. And so it's like surrendering to that you already have it. And if you're present in the moment, breathing and like really paying attention, it's always there. And yeah, they talk about like sacrifice, in magic, there's a sacrifice that happens. And I talk about this in our ceremonies. There's a sacrifice is that you came here and you sacrificed all the thoughts, all the things you could be doing right here now in this moment in your head. You sacrifice all that, you come to the breath, you come to the heart, you come here now, and you let go of everything else. The plans for tomorrow, what happened last week, the worries and concerns about my safety and who's this person next to me. It's like surrendering to like the self and going deep within. And this is where they talk about the story of Odin hanging himself from the tree of life. He sacrificed himself to himself. He surrendered and was on the tree. I don't know for how long, but he basically just went really deep and went inside and found the truth and this power. And that's why he became so powerful. And that's the other trapping, is it's not really his power. He's just flowing with the divine. He's with the flow, and magic happens. And we see that with athletes. You know, there's a magic that happens and you're like, how did he do that? It's because they're in a flow. Or how did she do it? They're just in the flow state, and it's just, everything's clicking, you know? So, and it's not a thinking, doing thing. It's a surrender and relaxation thing, but not too relaxed. It's really can't be described. So that's what comes to me now as I, tune in.
Yeah, I think the best thing that I can say about the flow state, because that was really perfectly put, I don't really know if I could add to that, is when we're not feeling it, when we're feeling really attached. And there's a practice that my teacher gave us, or our teacher gives us. And when I say us, I mean the Sangha members of the practice that we do. And it's called the surrender breath, or the surrender practice, because there's been times when an attachment will come up so strong and you're so gripped by the illusion it represents. And it usually has to do with a pretty deep wound inside of you that wants to react in some way to it. And this would be the opposite of like suppressing the emotion or the energy that you're feeling. But this would be a way to expand your energy, to accept what it's representing, and the choice to transmute the energy into something you can use for your growth. So it's a conscious use of the energy that is very contracted within us as a response to this illusion that's being presented in front of us so that we grow. So I was going to just take us through this surrender breath, because probably out of everything I've ever done with him, it has helped me the most. And it's just beautifully simple, but so powerful. Basically, you're experiencing this, let's say, deep or strong contraction, powerful contraction, and you don't know how to free yourself from it. So what you do is you just take a nice deep breath in and bring your inhale into your heart, and you're allowing your inhale to expand your energy beyond the struggle, or beyond the knot or the tension or the challenge that you're facing. You're allowing your own energy, your own consciousness to expand beyond the challenge that's being presented to you. And then you exhale. And, one time I did this all day long while I was at work. I just kept doing that breath. And by the end of the day, somebody had hugged me, and I couldn't feel it actually, but they were like, "You are on fire. Like your body is super hot." And and I had no idea. I couldn't feel that. It wasn't like it was hurting me. It was just a response of my inner mechanism burning up all this contraction inside of me and helping me to get free of the karma that was there. And it was like an engine. So when an engine runs for so long, it gets really hot. And it's basically that same thing. Like you're literally transmuting the energy. So you're consciously participating. You're willing yourself in a way without force. You're consciously choosing, I want to grow from this. I don't want to get pulled into it or swept under, I don't want to sweep it under the rug. Like, I'm facing this, and this is what I choose to do with it. And this is how I choose to grow with it, so it's definitely a different way of working with it.
Well, that's the way you do it. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, there's all these techniques, but that's it. You're breathing into your heart. You're breathing into presence. You're breathing with what's there, with love. And I have a tool I offer on my website for free that is basically is tuning into the breath, focusing on the heart, and then also relaxing the body and tuning into areas in the body where the energy is being held, and focusing the breath there as well. And it's interesting, like, we all come to these realizations. Like, there's all these modalities and religions and everything else, and it's generally the same. It's coming back to love, coming to the breath, coming to like the presence, the now moment. Everyone says it a little different, but it's all the same, because none of us can really describe what it truly is. And so yeah, it's just like, yeah, that's what you do. And then and then the transmutation that takes place. But most of us aren't doing that because there's like a resistance to it. Like
Mm-hmm.
more we breathe deep like that, the more we break up the emotion that's already there, and it's like then we're feeling something that we haven't really wanted to feel, and that's why it's kind of stuck. And so without fail, that happens when people really start breathing deeper. This emotion comes up, and if they're not willing to surrender and allow it, it becomes like a hell. If they start to manage it with their mind or get a diagnosis with it and um, think that that's what's wrong with them and that's the way they're going to be, and then there's all these routes that play in that illusion. Like you're saying, you play in the Maya, you play in the illusion rather than what's actually creating the illusion. So yeah.
Yeah. And what I've noticed for myself too is if I really want to identify with something, like for whatever reason, I want to identify with whatever is coming up. Like I feel like it's part of me. Then I have more resistance to working with it consciously. So I feel too like when we're ready, we'll choose to work with it, we'll choose to transmute it, but not until then. Like up until that point, it could just keep representing resistance, which basically is a block to our our continued evolution. But yeah, I feel like the more I'm identified with it, the more I'm attached to it being a part of me or an extension of me or a safe place in some way, the harder it is to, that's when you really got to call on these spiritual tools to help navigate your way through samsara, through this school, this earth school, and the one of your biggest lessons, most likely.
Well, that's the thing. There are no blocks. It's just we're holding on to an idea or a belief about something that is creating
Yeah,
the illusion of a block that
yeah.
we're imposing on ourselves. Yeah. Like,
Well, we didn't get. We could just start right now with the collective reading and see what comes through the cards.
yeah, sure.
Okay. Do you want to start, or do you want me to go for it?
I'm just kind of feeling about like yeah, like concept of blocks. So this is something I've been working with a guy for I don't know, like 6 months now, where it's like deprogramming these beliefs in a lot of the spiritual communities that there's blocks, that there's um, a universe outside of us when we are ourselves the universe. And so it's like almost a way to blame something else for the good or the bad, and that there is no good or bad either. That's like a judgment based on what's showing up. And this is really hard to convey, but I think it's important to just share that um, to be in flow with the universe is just to be yourself, to surrender to the fact that you are the universe expressing itself, and to see with those eyes rather than some outside thing like a savior or a narcissist or a universe that's influencing you. And that's a hard pill to swallow, I think, for people, because we're so used to trying to have something to push against or identify with or blame, versus like really stepping into the power of who we are. And then because a part of us is like, oh, well, that's ego. You're just being in your ego to say you are creating the universe. But it's like, is it? So anyway, that I'm drifting off with that one. I'm not sure where to go with that, but I just wanted to share that for what it's worth as I'm
No,
like
no,
diving
it's
into this
it's really
stuff.
helpful because it puts the responsibility on ourselves, which is where it needs to be.
But yeah, and like with contact too, is there really anything outside of us that's going to hurt us? I mean, nothing can really hurt us. Yeah, it may be the body. We have an experience of something, but that's just the illusion too, to have this experience where we're separated from source, the universe, that we are the universe, having this idea of separation And like when you connect to that, you're invincible. You can navigate life more freely, openly, like a child again. And but there's always someone to jump in and be like, oh, you're spiritually bypassing, or oh, you're rationalizing, oh, you're doing this, you're doing that. And like it's coming to a place where who gives a shit? Who cares what those people think? You know, they want to be upset, they want to be in their misery, they want to be in their pain, great. But you know, don't bring me into it. If I want to, you know, if you want help, sure, we can help. There's ways of helping. But a lot of this identification with what we think happened to us or is happening around us, or it's really like hurting everybody. Like, can we all have a little grace for ourselves and each other? And it's just so much blame out there. It's really hard, you know, and it's not even really hard. It's just a reflection of my own, you know, lack of awareness and how I believe things. To even have a reality like that around me is really interesting, and to like keep breathing into the love and coming back to that. And yeah, something's up for me today with this. I'm not sure what, and I feel you're wanting to get into the reading, so I'll just stop. But
Well, you can definitely keep going if you want to. No rush. We have time.
no, that's good. I thought maybe you had something around that, but no, maybe not.
Yeah. I feel like I could pull some cards on it too and see.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Well, I actually thought I would just keep it simple today. I do have less decks out than normal, and I just wanted to focus mostly on the tarot. So let's see what comes through for the collective. Let's see. What can we say? What is the universe wanting from us? Okay, so we actually got the Eight of Cups in reverse. And this is really interesting because normally what you're going to see the universe want from you is actually the Eight of Cups upright, which is a walking away from what doesn't serve your greater good, or your highest potential, or what feels good for you, or what's good for you right now, or anything like that. So I feel like with this card, what the universe wants from us is reflection. It's almost like before you go, could you just reflect on, you know, this one thing? It's almost like, why are you running off so fast? Like the possibility of running from our stuff, you know, like or letting go too quickly, or running in general, running off, not wanting to face our stuff. So let's see how we're showing up with this energy, the Eight of Cups reverse. How are we showing up? When I say we, I mean the collective. So how are we showing up? Queen of Pentacles. That's a super strong card. This is Taurus energy. So she's actually a lot like the Empress. She's abundant. She's grounded. I feel like we're showing up in our power with this. So the universe is wanting us to reflect on whatever it is that might be coming up at this time. We are in Cancer season. This is traditionally known as a really reflective time, Cancer being a water sign, and known as the nurturing sign, or the mother. And a time to just like go within and lick our wounds, or have some extra hermit time, as it's represented by the hermit crab. So I feel like definitely we're in our power, and maybe even wanting the space to explore our inner worlds, like allowing whatever abundance is going to come from that inner exploration to happen. So I feel like it's what is being asked for from the universe right now. And it's also what we're inviting in, or we're welcoming in from ourselves. Like we're wanting that time to stretch out, to have space, to have quiet time and go within. So it feels actually like we're synonymous, or synchronized with the energy. Like this is just a really powerful and beautiful time to go inside.
And the Eight of Cups, that one comes up a lot anymore, it seems like, at least for me in the readings I've been doing. And on these calls, a lot of times I've seen it at least once or twice. And yeah, I always saw it as, walking away from what was really great, but not really fully what was desired. And I get it. Like, it's almost like what was working, and remembering that, or the gratitude. It's kind of like when something's not there anymore, there's these whole stages of grief. And I'm curious if they would add a stage of like remembering what worked, I don't have the list in front of me. I don't really remember, but there's like denial and sadness and all that. But and it's not a linear thing, but it just reminds me of like remembering the feeling of when it was good and stepping into that and being in that, therefore to draw it in again, because it's already there. It's always there. Everything is now, and therefore that energy is always there, here and now. And it's just these thoughts, ideas, and beliefs that are blocking it. If we use the word block, clouding it. And so that's interesting. That's what came through with me on that. And I'll pull some cards as well, see what comes through. Collective reading, what we're experiencing at this moment. We being the humans that are into weird stuff like this, because we remember. So I got the Knight of Wands. And so
the King.
Like seeing, the King of Wands, interesting, yeah. I don't know why I said Knight. The King of Wands, so like the passion, what we manifest in the world, what we focus on. And it's also sometimes like this idea of measuring up is what I'm getting, is, are we measuring up? Are we doing enough? Are we good enough? And the answer is always going to be no, if we're using our ego, because it's never enough for the ego. It's never going to be right. It's never going to be perfect. There's always someone doing it better. And I love that the little like lizard, or like, you see the little lizard at the bottom here is there. And it's almost like this idea, he's got the lions and everything else, but there's also this lizard, this gecko there, and this idea of like remembering to pay attention to the innocence, to that which is easily crushed and destroyed. And so for me, I see that as, following our passions, like the childhood energy, and embodying that as the king or queen, as the sovereign. And also I got the Four of Pentacles reversed as like this letting go of the idea of what we need to feel safe and secure. And then the Seven of Wands reversed. And so that's a lot coming at us, and probably going to be overwhelmed by it. And it's surrendering to that overwhelm as the emotion that it's bringing forth is for us rather than against us. And that's not something anybody wants to hear. It's like, I don't want to be overwhelmed. I don't want to feel this. I don't want to go into that place. And that might be what's required of us, is to like feel and go into it and surrender to it. And then keep breathing into the heart, like you were saying, allowing that expansion, staying grounded, not listening to what all the thoughts being offered, and going through it, passing through the portal of that, and reclaiming your power by standing in it, by being centered and strong, to be the sovereign, to be he who is able to navigate the passions and the fires and wield it in a way that serves rather than overwhelms. And, he or she or it or they or whatever you want to label it. Alien, dragon, starseed, indigo. We can all do it.
Yeah, we keep getting these similar cards. Like you got the Seven of Wands, and I got the Nine of Wands. These are all, and then we got surrender, defensiveness. I think there's definitely something here with all these Seven of Wands is usually standing your ground. The Nine of Wands is a similar sort of energy, like almost like you've had so many challenges on your journey, and now you're a little defensive because of that, you know. And we got a lot, like this one says defensiveness is a sign of weakness. To communicate in a more empowered way, stay centered and hear someone out, then offer a clear non-defensive response. And we got trust and thrive and honor your inner knowing. So just like all these cards are like asking us to not respond in the ways that we're used to protect our egos, but to respond in a new way. Like this situation that's coming up now is new compared to the situation that came up before that may have hurt you in a certain way. Yet we project the old energy onto the new situation and we create the same old thing over and over again. Instead of like dropping our wands, dropping our defenses, and being open to what the moment offers, being open to what the lesson offers and how it's different this time or what it's offering this time, and being more curious than defensive, than assuming, that kind of energy. So it does definitely seem to be focused on trusting and allowing and listening and receiving. It's just like a softening of everything.
Yeah, that's what I was getting this morning with my experience with my niece. She's like 5.5. And the way she was talking to me, like I would never let an adult talk to me like that. And part of me was like, you need to like watch how you're talking to me. And I started going down that route. And then I caught it and I calmed down, and because my ego was kind of up, and I was like, well, she's got to learn not to talk to people like that. But then I realized like she's upset. It's not, I can't rationalize with her. I got to like practice what I preach and just breathe and feel what it's bringing up for me, and ask my guides for guidance. Like, what do I do with this? You know, every part of me wants to get the hell out of here and leave, but you know, I'm here with her. And so I just breathe, and, you know, they're telling me just love her and accept her as she is. And if she wasn't family, it would be easier, honestly, because I've worked with kids and with, you know, special needs and everything else, and they were violent. But when it's my own niece, it was like, oh God, you know, she doesn't like me. She's upset with me. She doesn't want me around. She wants me to just sit on the couch and stay there. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. But, you know, I see her upset and I'm sorry. And I was just trying to, you know, be loving towards her, and then hold my own space inside with what was coming up. And like you had the Nine of Wands. Yeah. That card came up in a reading recently too. And it really, like, the person had gone through a lot, and they learned like how to set boundaries, you know, how to stand their ground. They've been through a lot. And so now they know what their boundaries are with people and how to set them, essentially, because they've been through the battles, they've been through the trials. And that's the whole point, is we learn from those things, and then we get better at catching what we call like red flags or whatever. But it's really just, what am I choosing in my life? And do I want that again? And it's like, no, this is my boundary. And if someone crosses it, it's like, they don't respect me. Why am I a part of this, you know? And what's it bringing up for me? So yeah, that's on par with what I was experiencing today. So like surrendering and breathing, and then it all worked out. It was all fine, and she came back to her heart. You know, she was just upset.
Yeah, we actually got some really beautiful guidance cards, like from the deck you gave me, which was
They're Earth Warriors or Earth Protectors.
Yeah, Earth Warriors by Alana Fairchild. We actually got the Pono card, which I love. That's so cool. But it's number 27, which is my number. So that's like another number confirmation. There's been like so many. Immeasurable Power of the Heart Way. It's such a beautiful card too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's like what you did this morning, you know?
It's the answer to everything. Yeah. You know, we hold our boundaries still, obviously. Like, yeah, I'm probably not going to stay sitting on this couch the whole time. I'm not going to submit to the will of a 5.5-year-old. I'm still the adult, but it's like, all right, I just want to sit here right now, and I'm going to do my thing, but I'm not going to stay there. I'm not going to, you know, and that's the same with adults that act like that, which is really what it reminded me of, is like, oh, I know adults like this that don't feel safe. And so they try to control the environment, people, and they get big and loud. And when it's a kid, we just kind of like, whatever. But when it's like a, you know, 6'5" guy or even a woman that's only like 5'6" or something, and she get really big and intense. You're like, whoa, all right. It doesn't matter necessarily the size either. It's like that energy. And because a lot of us were dominated by our parents or by, teachers or whatever, and we'll just kind of like surrender to that. But it's like, no, standing our ground and being in our heart and be like, I hear you. I'm sorry you're upset, but this is what I'm going to do. And this is for me what the new earth is like, I'm going to have fun and enjoy my life. I'm sorry it's pissing you off. I'm sorry I'm not doing what you think I should be doing because you're doing what you probably don't want to be doing, but you think you should. It's just really, if we're going to embody this earth, the new earth, and really enjoy our lives, we're going to get that. We're going to get pushback from family or people, and maybe not necessarily, but it's been my experience. There's always someone there to kind of like take me down a notch in a sense, to use that old term. Like, oh, you're a little too happy. Oh, what are what's going on with you, Smiley, or whatever, and to try to like diminish our light, but cannot, not when it's in the heart like that.
Yeah, we actually did get Order of Melchizedek, Embraced by Light, Mission Uncovered, Don't Give Up.
Mm-hmm. Wow, look at all that light.
Yeah. And then we also got Angel of Space Clearing. It's time to clear old negative thoughts and feelings.
Is that same deck, or is that a different one?
Different one. This is an angel deck I have.
Ah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's really fun. Actually, it kind of gives you specific messages as what to work on.
Mm-hmm.
But with Stag, we got trust and thrive. But we got, when I'm connected to spirit, I feel a sense of certainty, magnitude, and ease that I've never known before. And that's like being in the flow. Mm-hmm. When you're in the flow, there's a magnitude and ease. I love that. And you're just in it. You're not working for it or against it. You're just being held by it and guided by it and supported by it. Just the beauty of it.
Yeah, it's like magic's real, and you're feeling and sensing everything. The body's relaxed and calm, and the mind is sharp and focused, and yeah, it's the best feeling ever.
Yeah, it's like getting lifted up out of the muck and just right in with the flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just reading some of the comments here. Not sorry for boundaries. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boundaries are healthy. I was watching this woman yesterday. I take my daughter to swim class, and there was a mother there who had her younger daughter. So my daughter's almost 8, and she's been swimming for a few years now. And the woman who was in our class with us, and there's only 2 of us, she brought her daughter, and her daughter was only 5. And it was her first swim class ever. And she was super scared, naturally. It's pretty common. You're in, all of a sudden, here's a huge body of water, and they're asking you to do things you've never done before in it. So, or at least that you remember doing. And she her daughter wouldn't do what the teacher was asking her to, and she offered her multiple alternatives. And so we got to the end of class, and the daughter the teacher was like, okay, would you like to hop on this bucket to make your way over to the ladder? It was like a way to support her as she was going over to the ladder so she didn't have to swim. And she was like, no, I just want mom to pull me up out of the water, because the mom was right there on the side of the pool. So she just wanted her mom to pull her up out of the water. And the mom was really great. And she was like, kind of offering her, reassurance and saying, well, I'll hold your hand as you walk across the bucket to get to the ladder on your own, but I won't pull you up out of the water. So it was like, I want you to know you're being supported, and I'll help you through this, but you will do this, you'll do this yourself so that you start to learn. But I'll hold your hand while you do it. Instead of like just, caving and pulling her upset daughter out of the water as soon as she asked for it, she was like really setting a boundary. Like, I'm still here, you're safe, and I will help you. But we're not going to do it in the way that you think we're going to do it. We're going to do it this way so that you start to grow and learn, how to feel comfortable in the water. So it was just really great to see her practicing healthy boundaries with our kids, which is not easy to do.
No, I feel for a lot of parents, it's a lot of work, especially single parents, because it's just 24/7. And when the nervous system's on edge, it's easy to like yell or revert back to like how we were raised, like for
Yeah.
some kids that like they were just thrown in the lake, like you're gonna swim, you're gonna learn how to swim, here you go, you throw them in the lake, or it wasn't as kind, it wasn't as present really. And that served too. It was like it was a different time, like we were talking about that, how we grew up in the 80s versus how kids are now. And we had swings, we had these really dangerous, actually they weren't even really that dangerous, but it was like people got hurt and they broke their arm and they went flying off the little like carousel thing that would spin around. We get that thing going really super fast and hang on, and then they'd go flying off. And on the swing, we'd go as high as we could to where the chain would go loose, and it was awesome. And you got hurt and then you watched your body heal, and it was all part of like being young, and it's just different now. It's much more present, but sometimes I wonder, is it like, are we trying too hard to protect them too, like with not having swings in the schools and stuff? That just seems weird to me. But I love that there's more presence, and that she's able to like help her in a way rather than just pulling her out of the water or making the teacher do it instead of her. So yeah.
I muted the mic because there's a loud, massive piece of road machinery going by. I don't know if you can hear it, but
No, I couldn't hear it.
I was waiting for them to leave, but they were moving too slowly. So
yeah.
Okay. Well, do you have anything else that you want to pull cards on, or you feel complete?
I kind of do today. It's
Yeah.
been an interesting day. A lot of like childhood stuff came up for me, and it always brings up some like shame, where just how I grew up, what I went through. And when I face that, when I see like kids upset, what that brings up for me inside of me, it's like it really pushes on those parts of me that are still like upset and crying and kind of hiding in the corner so they don't get yelled at or hit and stuff. And it brings up a lot. I don't know, there is not a lot, but it just brings up stuff. And I'm grateful that I'm able to navigate that when I'm around children, like, because I own it. I don't lash it out at them, but I see how that could happen really easily. And so I just see like how much stress is put on parents. Like the woman I was dating previously, I lived with her and her son for a while. It was 10, single mom, not a whole lot of support, and just how much she had to deal with and go through. And we really need our villages back. We need our aunties and our uncles and our grandparents. And in the Western culture in the US, there's not a whole lot of that. Other countries, other cultures, there's more ohana, family, and connection. And growing up in the West, it was like kind of like you're on your own, and that's what it takes to be successful. And you're better than everyone because you can do it by yourself, which is all bullshit, because nobody does it by themselves. Everyone's getting help. But like, I just want to send some love out there to the parents that, they're really doing the work and raising the kids, and not at a very easy time. And I want more grace and ease for all of us, and however that comes about, I don't know. But
yeah, I agree.
I'm really feeling that childhood stuff coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, big hugs to everybody. Okay.
I thought I'd pull a dragon card.
Okay.
Dragons are who I called on when I was really in a bad way, going through my Saturn return, dark night of the soul. I was trying to like self-medicate and deal with all that stuff I had went through. And so as I was trying to quit drinking and doing all that stuff, I went and got a giant dragon tattooed on my back. Like my whole back is a giant golden dragon. And it was like a way to call them into my life. And they've been really showing up the last couple of years, and the whole planet is aware of this now. And there's like these dragon summits, and everyone's talking about being a dragon or connecting with their dragons. And when I connected with them, they told me like they're not reptiles, they have heart. They kept saying, we have heart, we have heart, we have heart. They kept over and over. I'm like, all right, I get it. But it's just, they felt very misunderstood and very like kind of like like just propaganda against what a dragon is, and that's evil and bad and it kills and eats people, when it was really a protector and a thing that protected that which was most cherished. And them coming back now more strongly is really just to me an indication that they're protecting our inner children, our children. And even with some of the movies that are coming out now, really exposing what's going on with the children on this planet and how much slavery there really is right now. Some say more than there's been throughout history, and it's all underground. And I'm glad that hopefully that comes to a stop soon. And so we're calling our dragons. We get Black Dragon from Saturn. Brings you wisdom through spiritual discipline. So that Saturnian energy of really having like that routine or that structure or the boundaries to set against a world that wants to impose on your joy, your peace, your love. And so concentrate, focus on your ultimate vision. Congratulate yourself. You have passed the test. So whatever we've all been going through lately, there's been plenty of tests. And so this card is indicating that you passed, that you did it. You're still here, you're breathing, and to have some grace with yourself, to celebrate, congratulate yourself, however that looks. And Saturn, I think, just went retrograde, didn't it? Or it's been retrograde for a little while.
In Pisces, yeah. So definitely the boundary thing is up for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's where the field of creation happens. When you're doing magic, you'd have your sacred circle. When we do a ceremony, there's the circle. When you have a gathering, there's generally a circle. There's this container that's created, and it creates the separation between the sacred and the profane, they say. Or like with Mott created the separation from chaos to allow all the other Egyptian Nitiru and life to spring forth, to have the boundaries, to have the ability to experience what we're experiencing here, and then to navigate it more consciously with we're setting the boundaries against what we're letting come into our reality with the thoughts, the programming, the ideas of how the way things are. And I really see in order to do that, we got to make peace with all the parts of ourselves that are still kind of hurting. And that comes with breathing with the heart, like you were saying, is the breath, the heart connection, the feeling what's there, and releasing with, I like the ha breath. There's just letting it go. So in Hawaiian culture, ha is breath. And, you have the aloha, and just so much is connected with the heart and the breath.
Yeah. Hi, Carol.
Hey, Carol.
Okay, cool. Well, I think that will be it for today. Yeah, until next Thursday, everything should be good to go for next week. And thank you all for being here, whether you came on live or watched the replay. We really appreciate you watching and being with us. And feel free to comment if you have any afterthoughts. It's always so great to read how you're feeling about the energy that was presented, or your perspective on the cards is also great. And we'll see you next time. Namaste.
Aloha.
Bye, everybody.